Okay, I'm back with another story. Today's story is my first open house, which was the worst open house that I've ever done in my life. I was about a year into my job, in my first job that I just chatted with you guys about, and my sweet boss offered to connect me with an agent that lived in the town I lived in, which is Fremont, California. And she had a listing that she was open to me hosting an open house for. And I was not licensed, and I was 1 year into real estate, and this is what happened. Okay, so I show up at my open house in my brand new 2004 Acura, thinking I'm super slick. I went inside, brought all my things in, and I had one more sign to put out in the front that said open house. What happens? I walk out the front door, the door shuts behind me and automatically locks. Now I've got my keys for my car, that's all I've got. My phone's inside the house, everything is inside the house, and I full on cold sweat panic. What do I do in this situation? Here's what I did. So the closest person to me was my friend that lived about 5 minutes away. So I drove to her house, mind you, I had no phone. So I get to her house in a panic, and I said, I need to use your phone. So I call my boss in San Francisco, who calls the woman whose open house I'm hosting, and she says, I don't have any more keys for that house. It is locked, there is no getting into it, I don't know what she's gonna do. So I said to myself, okay, there's a fire station up the street from that house. I'm gonna go to the fire station and see if these firefighters can get me in the house. Because if anybody can, it's gonna be them, right? Meanwhile, all my signs are up for the open house that was advertised. I didn't think to take them down. So people are showing up to this house while I'm sitting there waiting for the firemen to show up. And I'm thinking they're just gonna bring their little truck, right? Not the big truck, but like their little, just the one that they use on their day-to-day use. No, they bring the entire squad, the big truck, and I have 5 firemen jump out of the car, put ladders on the side of the house, and start trying to figure out which window they're gonna use to get me into this house. It was awful. People are staring, people are asking, what's going on? Is there a fire? And little 20-year-old me is sitting there like, nope, we just locked the keys out, no big deal. So, turns out, firemen could not get us in the house. So I had to call a locksmith. Locksmith says I'll be there in an hour, finally shows up, the house gets rekeyed. By this point, the open house is over. I mean, it's over. It's been 3 hours. So I lock up the house behind me, tuck my tail between my legs, and I say, okay, that was a wonderful first experience at an open house. It gets better. I call my boss and tell him I now have a bill for $300 for this locksmith. He calls the agent and says, I'm so sorry, what do you think about splitting this bill? She says, okay, I'll take care of that, we'll split it. Give me the address again, and I'll have an invoice created. He gives her the address. She says, oh my gosh, I thought she was at a different open house today. There's a hide key underneath the planter in the front yard. So that whole thing was for nothing, but it was such a great learning experience. I will never again walk out of the house that I'm showing without a key in my hand and my cell phone in the other one. That's it.